Hello, I am Nelson and welcome to Mortgages and Money. In this video, I will cover second mortgages. Now, second mortgage, the word second in the term mortgages, refers to second in position. So in the order that it is registered. So if I buy a house, I get one mortgage registered on title to that property. So I have a lien against my house with the mortgage. That's my first mortgage. If I get a second mortgage for that same property for a little bit of extra money and it's registered, that is in second position because it's registered second to the first. So it's basically chronological order of the time it's registered. This is not to be confused with a first mortgage on a second property. So when you're thinking first mortgage, second mortgage, or a first mortgage on a different property, think of the address. So if I'm changing the address of the mortgage that's being registered, is there a mortgage already registered on that property? Yes or no? If no, then it's first mortgage. If yes, then I need a second mortgage on that same property. Hope that makes sense, because a lot of customers come to me and they say, I want a second mortgage. But it turns out what they want is a new first mortgage on a second property, because maybe they're buying a rental house or a house that they're renting, or an investment property. So they have their residential home that they live in and they're looking for a second home, but they don't need a second mortgage. They need a first mortgage on that second home. So I hope that's clear. So I'm going to go over second mortgages legitimately, I guess. So how this works is I buy a house for, let's say, 100,000, just to make the numbers easy. That's my purchase price. Okay? And I want to put, let's say, 20% down on that home. So 20% of 100,000 is 20,000 down payment. So essentially, I have $20,000 in equity of this house. And my new mortgage, my first mortgage, is 80,000. Because I'm buying for 100, I have $20,000 to put down. I need another $80,000 in a mortgage, which is my first mortgage. Okay, so my loan in relation to my value of this house is 80%, which means I have 20% equity in the home, meaning technically cash on paper. So let's say I need another $5,000. So let's say at the last minute something happened, I needed an emergency. I don't have the money to pay for my legal fees to close this mortgage. So I need $5,000. But I want it to be short-term money. So instead of increasing my mortgage instead of putting $15,000 down because instead of putting $20,000 down because I've spent some of it, I no longer have it, I only have $15,000 left, and I'm in a jam because I need to close my mortgage, I need a $5,000 quick mortgage. What that would be is, normally it's a private mortgage. So if I have money I want to lend it to you, that's a private mortgage, because I'm the investor and I'm just a private guy, I'm just a regular guy. So that becomes a $5,000 second mortgage, because that gets registered behind the $80,000 first mortgage. So first they register the $80,000, private guy comes over, gives me the $5,000, puts a lien on my house for the second mortgage because it's second in order of registration, and that becomes a second mortgage. And normally they are private, so it's normally guys with extra money who like to invest in mortgages because it's secured on the property, so it's not an unsecured investment. They're actually investing in real estate with your property and getting a return, because this comes at a cost of interest rate, just like your first mortgage does. And normally, second mortgages are interest only. And what that means is you don't have to pay principal plus interest, you just pay the interest portion of that. So normally they're lower payments because you're not paying down the $5,000, you're only paying down the interest on that $5,000. And normally they're 1 year in term. and normally they're open, which means you can pay off that $5,000 at any point in time without paying a penalty. Whereas your first mortgage is normally a penalty. So it might make more sense, because you're in a jam and you need emergency funds, to get a quick private second mortgage on top of your first, just to buy you some time for whatever reason that you require that money. Because it's interest only, so your cash flow, your payment's not as expensive, and it's open, so you have the flexibility at any point, if you get that $5,000 back, to pay it down, and now you're back with your $80,000 first mortgage only, and this gets wiped out. So that's second mortgages in a nutshell. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I look forward to working for you, and I hope that made sense.